The savior of the universe gets shrunk down in size. Here's your look at the new boss fight studio, H.A.C.K.S highly articulated character kit system, Flash Gordon Adventurer. A world-class athlete in a variety of sports, as well as an accomplished pilot, Flash's life of adventure began when he and his companions traveled to the planet Mongo. That world was close to devastating collision with Earth. Flash and the others aimed to find a means of averting the coming disaster. Upon arrival, they found Mongo to be a fantastic place populated by innumerable exotic creatures and divided into numerous kingdoms. These kingdoms were ruled by princes and queens, all of whom competing and warred against one another while paying homage to the vile Ming the Merciless. Once he had acclimatized to Mongo, Flash set to countering Ming at every turn, defeating numerous plots by the villainous emperor, and eventually gathering enough support to overthrow him. Before we go to overthrow the might of Ming, I'd like to thank the folks over at Boss Fight Studio that did provide this sample of Flash Gordon that we could have a look at in this video. Grabbing now the tape measure, it's way down here. In fact, even if just to look at Flash Gordon in his size, he's about 2 of my tape measures tall. Anyways, I'm sure you guys would want a more exact sizing than that. So we're going to start things first with inches. Flash Gordon stands small at 3 1/4, about 3 1/4 inches in height, or that works out to be a figure that's about 9 centimeters tall. Flash's accessories will include, the figure comes included with a H.A.C.K.S display stand. We have seen these before, perhaps not molded in red like this. You can see it has H.A.C.K.S and down below that, highly articulated character kit system. That's what H.A.C.K.S stands for. You may also see as well that there's numerous pegs scattered across the top surface of the stand, as these plug into the underside of Flash's boots. The thing though about these, as I've noticed also in the past, is that immediately if you take the figure and you try to put it down on a peg, it doesn't work right away. You almost have to take it and screw the peg in to the hole provided underneath the boots. Once you have that screwed in, the stand does more enough job of keeping Flash in place. But I did notice though, like the size of the peg holes on the undersides of any one of these hack figures seems to be way too small for the pegs. They probably do that intentionally too, I would imagine, so that when you initially have to do it, once you have, screwed those in, it means you're going to have a more secure grip than having the hole. In fact, you can even see right here, this is the side that I've doweled in with the peg. This is the untouched hole. You can see there's definitely a difference between the two sizes. Putting the figure down here for a second. So we're going to move that stand out of the way. The figure also comes included with a couple of closed fists. I've just now dropped one of them. I'll have to go back and retrieve that. The hands are small, as I hope to find that one that I've now just dropped. I probably will not be using these anyways, simply just for the fact that the figure comes included with some pretty cool accessories anyways. I don't know if I would ever want to change these out to closed fists, but if he is certainly wanting to send a knuckle sandwich in Ming's way, then yeah, you could probably easily swap these out. They just pop out by the peg there, and then you just pop them back into the sockets of the forearms. On to the rest of the accessories, though, that come included with Flash. He does get himself a little laser pistol. Pew, 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 pew. Molded nicely here in silver plastic. I can't quite tell if actually this is molded in silver plastic or they've gone then in and painted this silver. Either way, though, it's a nice looking pistol that can be fit into his hand. As it is right now, both of the hands are fine to hold the pistol. It just slides right into in between the fingers and the palm. And just like that, Flash has himself now a pistol. Pew, pew, pew. One other way that you can display the pistol is not so much in Flash's hand, but instead there's a holster just to the side of his leg. Just slide the pistol down to the side of that. One other accessory, the last accessory, in fact, that comes included with the figure is a really nicely sculpted broadsword. Again, I can't tell quite if the blade and the guard have been painted in silver, and perhaps the hilt is the starting coloring of the molded plastic. Either way, though, it fits again into Flash's hand. We're just going to do it on the other side, seeing as this other hand got so much the attention before. And again, because the fingers, I don't know if you can actually see this or not, the fingers of the plastic are so soft, it makes things pretty easy, actually, to get the sword and the pistol into his hand. And you can certainly have the figure displayed with both if you really want to. Another way you can also, similar to the pistol, is you can actually, there's a slot on the side of his leg, and that also holsters the sword too. So everything can be displayed on the figure, either in his hands or actually on the figure's body. Picking the figure up now so you guys can get a closer look at Flash Gordon. Let me just start by saying I really like the head sculpt that they've done here. It gives for a very heroic looking Flash Gordon. And I got to say too, for the sizing of what this is too, I mean, this is a 3 3/4 inch sized figure. Just to put that in proper perspective, just the level of detail and paint alone, you can see as well they've painted the eyes nicely, very nicely handled here. Under certain lit conditions, like way I've got the studio lights right now, I don't know why it looks to me like he's got himself a mustache. It's not really the case. In fact, when you turn it sideways, you can see that that mustache now disappears. I do think like the head sculpt is really nicely handled. The cowl has been given some additional silver there on the sides that cover over his ears, as well as he's got the little yellow crest that's just below the yellow hair. Being that this is more of a comic-looking Flash Gordon, he doesn't really have the costume nor the colors of what he would have had from the 80s film. So he has like these little orbs of yellow all wrapping around the top collar of his shirt. He's got the hole there on the back that I guess you really could use a backpack from another hero H.A.C.K.S and just simply attach that onto the back of his torso, or it could be something that they may plan to use with a later release Flash down the road. Nice bright colors both on his shirt, long sleeve shirt. His belt is nicely handled with a more pastel yellow, and a more stark black gives the opportunity then for these stripes of yellow to stand out before we get down to the brighter colors of his blue boots. Again, it's a really nicely handled figure. There is always that screw hole that seems to be present on hero hack figures, and Flash Gordon is no exception, although in this case, being the fact that his belt runs so low as it does, sort of halves off the screw hole, so you don't see it as much. Plus, too, when you're generally going to be looking at a figure like this anyways, you're going to be likely looking at him from the front, and very unlikely you'll be spinning the figure around unless you go back to put a backpack on the back of his torso. For the articulation on Flash Gordon, not only is this a nicely detailed figure, but he's superposable as well. You'll excuse me for a second, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the sword because I just don't want to clip that along the ways, and I guess too, I can also remove the pistol. Pew, pew, pew. We're going to put that to the side also as well. For the articulation on Flash Gordon, we're going to start things off first with his head sculpt, which is on a very, very generous ball joint. Not only can you have it rocket back and forth this way, you can have him looking up to the skies. You have him looking down on the defeated Ming. And again, also you can wrap the head, roll the head all the way around as well. Shoulders do come out beyond the point in fact of a 90-degree angle bend. That looks a bit strange though on Flash Gordon. You can also take the arms, of course, rotate them all the way around as well. They seem a little hung up though. This arm, and actually both the arms, when I'm turning them, there seems some serious resistance. I would imagine, and I would be able to sign off on telling you guys the arms would be able to rotate all the way around, although there is definitely some resistance, and it seems like the joints are maybe more tight than anything else. So you'll excuse me if I don't actually turn the arms all the way around. They seem like they're capable of it. There we go. Didn't want to make myself look like a liar. He does have a bend in the elbow. You can rotate the forearm back and forth, and he does also have a hand that swivels all the way around. Whether you decide to use the gripping hands, yes, or you decide to use the punching hands, in this case, no. I'm going to have to still go back and pick up the other one. Again, the hands work the exact same way. Legs split out on Flash Gordon. You can again take the legs and bring them forward and bring them back. You can see why I took the time and removed the sword. He does have a swivel 3/4 of the way up the thigh. There's a swivel cut. You can rotate the leg this way. He has a double hinge on the knee there. The figure does have also articulation, not necessarily at the top of the boot. That's actually just a continuation of the mold. They've just gone and painted this in. Although he does have some decent articulation here on the ankle, and you can also rock it back and forth also as well. I must say, I like the look of this Flash Gordon quite a lot. Now, the folks over at Boss Fight did also produce a Ming. I'm just going to get him to stand there. There we go. They did also produce a Ming too, so which we will be looking at in an upcoming review. What I like about the Boss Fight stuff is not only are they scaled in the scale of figures that I grew up with. I was a big fan of G.I. Joe more than any other line of my childhood. So I always have dug the idea of the 4-inch and smaller scale figures. So right there, Boss Fight is delivering some really super detailed, super posable 3 3/4 inch figures. But they're also nicely painted, and they come with a ton of accessories. And again, meaning that they're the hero hacks, you can mix and match and use different parts that came included with the other lines, or you can also use the accessories that are going to come included with Ming the Merciless, a figure we'll be looking at in the not-so-distant future. As we are wrapping up the review now for the comic version Flash Gordon Hero Hacks figure from the folks over at Boss Fight Studio, it has actually occurred to me, not only has the company actually already done an 80s movie version of Flash Gordon of this size and scale, but the person that's behind the camera has already looked at him as well. Of course, at the time of wanting to do the comparison in this video, his whereabouts were unknown. So if you did want to go back and check out my earlier review of the 80s Flash Gordon Hero Hacks figure, you should be able to find it easily here on this channel. What I do like about this one, though, is while it doesn't have as much the tie-in to the movie verse of Flash, it certainly does have the brighter colors, both in the shirt, the brighter accents of the yellow, and the additional blue that he has on both the cowl and his boots as well. Being the fact that they also used a red Hero Hacks stand makes for a much more colorful looking Flash that you're putting him on the shelf. He doesn't do the greatest of jobs immediately when you get him out of the packaging to attach onto the display stand, but a little bit of doweling of the peg onto the undersides of his feet will broaden the size of the hole, and then the figure's going to be fitting fine on it. The figure has some decent looking accessories, a big broadsword and a little tiny pistol, pew pew, that can either fit into either one of his hands, or you can also holster them on the sides of the figure's legs as well. FYI, for anyone that was concerned that the whereabouts of the smaller fist, I did find it. Both the fists have come back home, and they're safe and sound. We are also going to be looking at, FYI, thanks to the folks over at Boss Fight Studio, Ming the Merciless. His review will be coming up shortly here on this channel. And if you are certainly a big fan of 3 3/4 inch scale and loving the stuff that Boss Fight Studio are producing, FYI, they are also expanding their Hero Hacks line to also include the characters from the Phantom, which we will be looking at a couple of variations of the Ghost Who Walks and also Julie Walker Phantom. So if you guys are a big fan of the Phantom and also like this size and scale, definitely stay on board and make sure you're coming back to this channel because those videos will be coming up shortly. Once again, a big thank you to the folks over at Boss Fight Studio that did provide the sample of comic version Flash Gordon that we could have a look at in this video. If you guys are new here, first of all, if you enjoyed this video, throw a little like my way. If you're loving the content that you guys are seeing and haven't already yet done so, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button down below. Turning on as well the bell notification not only helps this channel out, but also helps you to know whenever new videos are going to be popping up. Like, for example, the Ming the Merciless. Like, for example, the Ghost Who Walks Phantom. Like, for example, the Julie Walker Phantom. All that we will be looking at later in future videos. Again, thanks to the folks over at Boss Fight Studio. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.